The second thing I learned from Victor is the power of the visual. You know, for a long time I thought visualization was a nice thing, but I didn't buy it. But I started to see it through his eyes. And he said, what we see pretty much determines what our lives are like. Now that had an impact on me, but when he took me to San Diego, we worked with the flyers that came back from Vietnam. One of the flyers had been in a Vietnam prison for over 6 years. He had been beaten, starved, he had every lesion you can imagine. He comes to San Diego, he's 6'2", and he weighs 91 pounds. So one of the doctors said to him, "You're pretty stable. Is there anything we can do for you?" He said, "Yes. I'd like to play Torrey Pines Golf Course." Doctor said, "There is no way you can play Torrey Pines Golf Course." The flyer looked at him and he said, "You know, for 6.5 years, people have been telling me what to do. I thought I was home." Okay, now we're stuck. So we have a meeting and we decide we'll let him play. He will collapse at the first hole. We'll pick him up, take him back to the hospital. He'll be dehydrated. Everything will work out. He plays 18 holes of golf. If any of you are golfers, Torrey Pines is a very tough course. He shoots 87, okay? He's dehydrated, we get him back, and the one doctor comes into the room and says, "This is mind-blowing. In your shape, the fact that you played 18 holes of golf, incredible. The fact that you shot 87, more remarkable. But what blows my mind, because I'm a golfer, is you didn't three-putt one green." The flyer said, "I haven't three-putted a green in 6.5 years. Every day in his captivity, while they were beating him, while they were starving him, he had no other series of talents. He visualized in his mind golf courses. He visualized himself hitting the ball, and that was so profound that this guy's behavior could be influenced by that. But that's the second thing I learned from Victor. What you see has a tremendous influence on your life. And I'll give you some examples of that. One of them is we have a part of our brain called the reticular activating system. If we didn't have it, we'd all be nuts, because it does two things. One is it alerts you to danger. If you're driving down the road and you're going 65 miles an hour, and all of a sudden you have this impulse to pull over to the right lane, it may be because your reticular activating system has sensed that there's a guy behind you coming 100 miles an hour. So one of the primary things about the visual, the reticular, is that it prevents you from harm. You're walking down the street, it's a dark street, there's somebody on the other side, you quicken your pace, or you go into a building. Reticular activating does that. But what is more important is your reticular activating system goes after anything you tell it that is important. I'll give you an example of that. You want to buy a new television set, and you pick up the newspaper and say, "Oh my God, they're having a sale." They're always having a sale. But see, until the minute it becomes important to you, you don't see it. You want to lease a car? Oh my God, nothing down. The minute that your brain says, this is important, it starts to seek out things. So that's the second thing I want you to remember. Number one, you always have a choice. Number two, what you see has a tremendous influence on your life. Number three, Victor taught me that every human being searches for meaning, a purpose. Everybody in this room, myself included, would like to know that we make a difference and that our lives have meaning and purpose. The fourth thing he taught me was there's a tremendous difference between self-worth and what he would refer to as worthiness. And I'll give you an example. I had the cab ride from hell yesterday. We left Springfield, got to Branson, reasonably good time. We spent 1.5 hours looking for this place. And I thought we were on candid camera because he kept calling here, and they would say, go to the Walmart and make a right. He would go right through the light, and I'd say, that was the Walmart. Okay? When we finally got here, I left my phone in the car. So now, I've seen every part of Branson, by the way. If you want to know any group that's in town, just call me. I know every group that's in town because I saw every sign 52 times. Now, the reason I tell you that is when I got in that cab on an emotional level of 1 to 10, I was a 10. When I got out, I was about a -11. If you look at your week, you will see that your feelings of who you are and how you like yourself and don't like yourself, it goes up and down. And one thing could trigger it, and you can go into an abyss of misery instantly. It can be a kid, it can be your job. So that's the one part. The second part is what Victor would refer to as worthiness. You are not ever not worthy. You may be at the feeling level. Somebody may make you feel unworthy. But your level of your value as a human being, Victor would say, is steady. You deserve to be loved. You deserve to love. You deserve to be understood and to understand. You deserve to be needed and to need and to make a difference in life. He would say that's steady. You don't lose that. You don't lose that because you feel differently. The next thing he taught me is that don't be afraid of your feelings. Feelings, believe it or not, are your friends because they are the signals of what is happening in your life. If you feel hurt or angry or lonely, those are realities. But what a lot of us do, Victor would say, we deny our feelings. We push them down, we rationalize them, and we are so frightened by them that we never let them surface, and all they really are signals, because they tell you what is happening in your life. They tell you that things are maybe not the way you want them to be, and they tell you that maybe you need to look at where are these feelings coming from, what is their import, and what can you do about them. Now, those are just some of the things he taught me, but I'd like to jump ahead to the whole concept of meaning. If it is true that everybody wants meaning, and by the way, before the internet, we used to get 40 letters a day by people who had read this book. And a lot of them had said, I was going to end my life, I was going to kill myself, I thought things were meaningless, I thought life was hopeless. But since I read your book, I have found some meaning in my life. We all want it. We desire it. Some of us even have a passion for it. But why don't a lot of people feel they have purpose or meaning? One of the reasons is we lose the wonder of childhood. Do you remember, or if any of you, I have an 8-year-old granddaughter, and I'm telling you, and boy, does she have my number. She said to me recently, I'm not falling for that Nanu. She calls me Nanu, which is Sicilian for grandfather. And I tried something else, and she said, that's not going to happen. But watching her through her childhood has been phenomenal. You know, if I knew grandchildren were so great, I think I would have had them first. Yeah. They are not boxed in by all the rules yet. You know, the cow is purple, the people are sticks. This is their level of imagination is incredible. But what happens to us? Somewhere along the way, we lose a lot of that. And we lose a lot of that because of the rules. Now, everybody in this room operates on a whole bunch of rules. And a lot of them, you don't even know what they are. Now, some of them aren't so bad. You know, my mother had a rule. Treat everybody with respect. Care about everyone. And that wasn't always easy with some of the people in her family. I'll give you an example. My Uncle Rudy. My Uncle Rudy was the most difficult person in the world to like, love, or respect. And one night, we are running him down in the kitchen. My brother, my father, and myself. We are laying out everything that we've ever thought or felt about Rudy. And my mother has two incredibly strong characteristics. One is she's unbelievably kind. But two, she's unbelievably truthful. So she's stuck, and she's in the living room, and she's going crazy. Finally, she comes into the living room, and she says, "My brother Rudy is an excellent whistler." The only thing she could think to say. Okay? So one of the rules that has stuck with me, when Elaine and I meet somebody who we don't particularly like or enjoy, I'll bet they're good whistlers. Okay?